moving on to the actual curtain replacement. It's the bit I dread most because it can go wrong very fast. Okay, I still had to remove this. It's the first curtain, so I'll just do that. Then I will cut the new curtains. No big philosophy there. A mat like this really helps, so it has perpendicular lines, a good ruler, and some masking tape or transparent scotch tape, doesn't really matter. And after that, I'll start gluing the new ones on. For glue, I will try this one. It's the first time I'm using it. Bought it on the recommendation of a friend. It has a very nice metal tip, and the cap also has some sort of a needle that always cleans the tip. This is quite nice. Until now I used this. It's an universal contact adhesive, rubber cement. Most people seem to be using a Pleo bond. I think all three are pretty much the same stuff. This one is supposed to be more elastic, but honestly the forces that the curtains apply on the actual film of cement are quite small, and it's a repair that, well, of course, if it lasts a very long time, that's a good thing, but CLAs should be done within a certain frequency. Okay, so shutter curtains, glue, rollers, let's go. Okay, some progress, not very much, and some mistakes. First mistake, this should have been flipped, so rubber side out, because the short ribbon must be here, and if I glue it like this, I will have the rubber side towards the shutter, towards the back of the camera. Well, this is not a very big mistake. I will just flip it over, but when I flip it over, I will need to cut the other one, the other ribbon, to the exact same length as this one, so I can still glue it on the mark. That's mistake number one. Mistake number two, I did not mark both rollers because I considered one mark enough, given the fact that the ribbons have different lengths. So I decided to take the bottom one as a landmark and use that. But this one can be placed like this. Just a second. So the mark aligns, I mean, it not aligns, but is here in respect to this shoe-like thing. Okay, so that's one position, or I could align it, just a second, 180 degrees turned. And now the mark is here. Not having another mark on the upper roller, I'm not sure which is the correct position. So what I did was replace the restricting gear, so I could in fact assess what happens when this is in place. But it's a bit trickier than it seems, and this is where I did the third mistake. I did not mark on the body where the little prong of the second curtain stays when the shutter is cocked. So I will only have to rely now on these marks. This might sound more complicated than it actually is, not having it in your hand and examining the mechanics of the shutter, but it's not that complicated. It's just easily forgotten. Some things can be easily overlooked, not forgotten but overlooked. If that prong, when the shutter is cocked, is not in the right position, it will not be catched by the brake. Okay, because the brake, this one, sits something like this. So when the shutter is cocked, if that prong is not exactly here, this brake, when it goes down trying to catch it, will not catch it. It could miss it completely. It could only touch it, but that is not enough to hold it in place. And that results in shutter capping, even at speeds like 1/30. That was a lesson I learned the hard way. And funny thing, it's a lesson I paid attention to last time I did a fed. I don't know what happened this time. I think I was a bit overwhelmed by the filming thing. Okay, I'll figure it out on the go. It's not a very big problem. And in fact, you can fix it by changing the timing. So once the shutter is cocked in the cocked position, you can keep it in place. It has to be the shutter crate has to be put back on the body, and unscrew this, turn it by one tooth in one direction or the other, and replace it. So it will actually allow it to go more to the right of the shutter crate or less, so to the left, and thus okay, so this is the cocked position, and that little prong usually points the other way from this pin, so it should be like something like this. Okay, so if the prong when in cocked position is not pointing straight in that little cutout of the brake, then by adjusting the position of the gear, this is very hard to do with one hand, you can in fact allow the whole drum to move even more counterclockwise or less counterclockwise, thus altering the position of the prong in relation to the brake. But of course, when you are doing this, the edges of the curtains will shift, so you can do it, but you can't really. I think one tooth is maximum. So first thing I will need to determine if this position is the correct one. I will have to simply try them both and see which one works. And then after determining the correct position, I can finally start putting things together. Yeah, before putting the screw on, the last thing, this screw really got to me. In fact, I managed to break it because it's extremely soft and it was filed down to sit flush with the this diameter of the roller. And of course the precision and tolerances are not nice, so I think it caught on the other end of the hole and simply it snapped from too much torque. I didn't force it, but apparently it was too much for it. Anyways, yeah, I took a look at the videos I posted while disassembling the camera, and that's why it's a good idea to take pictures and videos. And I think this is the right position, meaning that from what I could tell from the videos, just a second, this is ish the position when the shutter is not cocked. So this thing points at about 11 o'clock, 10, 11 o'clock, something like that. And I couldn't see the end of the ribbon, so the ribbon was somewhere on the lower side, on the back side of the axle. So if I turn it, this is where the line is in report to in respect to the face of the camera. If I was to keep this in the same position and take this one out and rotate it like this, for the same position the line would be here, so it's obviously incorrect. So pretty much the line is on the back side. Okay. Of course, it's just a supposition for the time being. I'll test it and see if it really works. This is one. The other one is the little prong. So this is the prong, and when the shutter is not cocked, it should sit something like this. So the prong points just above this hole. The prong is directly connected to this. This would be sitting something like this, so square, square. So the pin is opposite to the prong. So this is the uncocked state. I didn't place the drum as well, but the pin should be sitting something like this. So the square is now placed diagonally, and it matches the diagonal square in the prong little plate. So this means pretty much my positioning is somewhat correct. And I think it's good enough to actually try replacing the curtains. Okay. I don't really remember if I polished this. I'll have to look, because this is a very important bit, and it should also come in pair with this one, but this one I think I did polish. What I could do, I could try to find a drill bit or something that could fit in this one. Something like this. So a cylindrical shape that fits here, but not this one. This is a rubber point. Glue some masking tape, maybe. This could work. Okay. And use this to polish the inside. See, it barely goes on the other side. So if I'm rubbing some polish compound on the inside and then use this, I might actually get it a lot smoother than it is right now. Of course, without overdoing it, because I would enlarge the hole, and therefore this would start to have a slight play, which is not to be desired. But I'll try. I'll try it because I really want to get out of this camera something like the smoothest fed in existence. It's not going to happen, but I'm doing my best to get there, and I am I'm feeling positive about it because I already did this one. This is the camera of a very good friend, and it has short but interesting story. It came in a box of pipe tobacco, lots of little screws and pieces in there, and the frame, the top plate, bottom plate. This ring did not come in the box, but he found it afterwards. So I had somewhat of a project camera. There were no guarantees, promises, nor requests to make it a working camera again. But it was a very interesting, fun, and good experience. I learned a lot of things from doing this camera. It's actually the first Russian rangefinder that I really took the time to understand. So I examined the entire mechanism. I tried to understand every little bit, what it does, why it does it. I did make a couple of mistakes that are still present. At some point I'll open it up again and try to fix it. Second curtain is probably placed incorrectly. I mean, not probably, but surely. It's surely placed incorrectly. I digress, but it was a good learning experience. For instance, if I'm trying to do a B, I have to really force it, and even then it only works sometimes. And now it doesn't want to. Anyway, the edge of the second curtain, when cocked, is literally flush to the film gate, and that is wrong. It shouldn't be like that. So my assumption is that either let me see if I can see where the first curtain sits. The first curtain is about 3 millimeters to the left of the film gate. So the entire positioning of the curtains is too much to the left. in order for it to catch on B, it should go even more to the left. But then the second curtain would not clear the film gate. So I just need to take it out, the shutter. I need to take it out and re-glue the curtains. If I remember correctly, the ribbons of the first curtain are only taped in place because I actually forgot to go back and re-glue them, which is apparently a good thing this time. And the second curtain will need to be removed from the drum and re-glued in a better position. Someday when I'm in the mood. Okay, wish me luck. Well, it's a lot shinier. I need to buy some more paste. Okay. Oh, and try to avoid both naphtha and alcohol on the paint. The paint is extremely sensitive. It almost rubs off like immediately, so not a good idea to use any kind of chemicals like this. I don't think it's a tragedy if that happens, but well, it's as shiny as a gold ring. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Hopefully it's not too much. And I will also have to do the same for the gear. And that goes in. Come on. Okay. And I will have to use a brush for this. And yeah, I'll have to get a new drill because this one is almost dead. This is how it looks now. So all nice and shiny. So this will sit in here. It is a lot better, but it's not going to be a smooth rotation without actual bearings, and of course it's not based on bearings. So some oil will be needed, but first of all I'll need to mount the shutter crate, and only then I can lubricate it. Graphite powder, I think it's a bit abrasive, so I wouldn't use it on this place, on this spot. I'll just use some light oil. Okay. Time to go ahead and start replacing the shutter curtains. Okay, so we should now have both curtains glued, and the next step is to actually connect them. So second curtain must be over the first curtain. So first of all, I'm going to lay this flat as much as possible. Then the second curtain comes on top, and the roller of the first curtain must be on top of the ribbons of the second curtain. So this is one and this is the other. Okay, so this is the way they should relate to one another. Next, I'm going to put a piece of tape while the metal edges are in contact with each other, and I'm doing this to make sure the gap between the two curtains is even. And I also want to keep them aligned with, let's say, this line. So I'll use one piece of tape here on this half, and another one on the other half. This roller is a bit off. I don't like it. Yep, it's off. If the ribbons are not glued correctly, the roller will for sure sit vertically because it's caught in between two fixed holes in the body and the shutter crate. So that means the leader will be skewed. So I will have to re-glue one of the ends, and I think I will do this one. I usually glue both ribbons at the same time, and this time for some reason I didn't. And I also have some oil seepage from the top little cap, and I'll have to get rid of that. Okay, I think it's okay now. They seem parallel to each other, so it's pretty okay. That's why it takes so long, because even the slightest mistake will have consequences. And I don't know, maybe if you change 100 shutter curtains, things will move a lot faster, but for the time being, this is my number 6, I think, and I'm still very skittish when it comes to replacing shutter curtains. I really don't like it, but I guess it has to be done. Okay, and next is this. wonder if this was the original shutter, given the fact that they were placed incorrectly. It would be interesting to know if that was the kind of quality control they did back then in Mother Russia. Okay, so this is one, and now I'll just have to sync the other one to this one. So while keeping this under tension and keeping this perpendicular to the shutter curtain, okay, so these two must be held together, and now this one should come around about here. It looks all right. And then I roll it over, make sure the ribbons don't have the tendency to leave the rollers, because if it's ever so slightly glued diagonally, it will in fact leave the roller. I don't know how to say that, but this one seems all right. And is it? Sorry for that. Yeah, it seems to be parallel. Okay, so right now we have both curtains replaced and the ribbons re-glued, the original ribbons, with the mention that I had to glue them on the back side, so on the clean side, because I got the first one, I got it wrong, upside down, when I glued it on the metal lathe. All right. I might stop here. Because this is a very tricky part, and I'll need a lot of luck to get it straight from the first go. I'll be back for the conclusions.